After an entire summer apart, we're excited to welcome back Sportsnet's Stephen Brunt back to the program. First, I got to start with this, Stephen. Did you catch any fish?
Yeah, lots of fish, Wilder. I had lots of fish. I had a great summer on the river, so that was a big part of it.
It's great to have you back. Well, earlier this month, CFL Commissioner Mark Cohan announced he would be stepping down after 8 years in the position. Does he leave the CFL in better shape than he picked up the ball?
I think he does, with some qualifications. I think with the CFL, there's always going to be qualifications. If historically you want to go back to the last 50 years, there's always been qualifications. But Mark Cohan, there are some landmark achievements certainly during Mark Cohan's tenure. The television deal, especially, and bringing football back to Ottawa, making it a 9-team league again. Those are historic accomplishments for the CFL. And look, no commissioner does it alone. There are other people involved, and there are circumstances and the environment, the business environment in which they operate. But those are things that when we talk about the Mark Cohan years, that people are going to remember.
Yeah, that television deal was huge. And he says he's stepping down because he checked off everything he wanted to do on his CFL commissioner checklist. But in your mind, is there unfinished work?
Oh yeah, there is unfinished work, and I think Mark Cohan would tell you, if in a different circumstance, he would acknowledge that. The biggest challenge facing the league is the same one that was facing the league when he came in, and that's right where I'm standing here in Toronto. There are issues in other places. There may be ownership issues in other places. There are other circumstances, but this is the biggest market in the country, and it is the weakest CFL market in the country by far. You've got a team here that draws very, very small crowds. That may not have a home after 2016 or 2017 when they get thrown out of the Dome because they're going to put grass into the Rogers Centre. There's no other place for them to play right now. They don't have a deal to go into BMO Field. Their current owner, David Braley, has the team for sale. And it's always been one of those questions, one of those puzzles for the CFL. Can you have a healthy league without a healthy Toronto franchise? They do, to a degree. This is a league that's in the black overall because teams like Saskatchewan make enormous amounts of money. But we always have to look back at Toronto, where the league is in Toronto, and what you can do to fix it. And Mark Cohan, like all of his predecessors as commissioner, going back to Jake Goddard, really didn't have an answer for that question.
Definitely a lot more work to be done. But some are saying, Mark Cohan stepped down as CFL commissioner to take another high-profile job in Canadian sports, perhaps head of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Is he expected to fill that position?
I think he's a candidate. I think he would very much like to be a candidate, knowing Mark. He is a guy who has made a career in sports as a sports executive. I think he saw the CFL, his years in the CFL, coming to an end in any case, wanted to take the next step, and it's kind of an obvious next step and a very attractive next step to take over MLSE, which is the biggest sports company in the country. But I expect that search will go far and wide. I'm not saying Mark Cohan won't get the job, but I would say that I would be surprised, honestly, if he gets that job.
He's definitely a good candidate. And speaking of candidates, who are some of the candidates to fill Cohan's job, and what challenges will they face?
I think the number one guy would be the guy who has worked under Mark Cohan, Michael Copeland, who's the president and CEO of the league. I think has brought a real kind of sophistication on the business side. He had a lot to do with the television deal. He had a lot to do with the Red Blacks coming to Ottawa. So I think behind the scenes, Michael Copeland has been a very strong force in that front office. If he wants to stay and wants the job, he would be my number one candidate. And beyond him, there's Scott Mitchell, the president of the Tiger Cats. His name has been kicked around. But I would be surprised if Michael Copeland is not the number one candidate, and if he wants the job, I would be surprised if he doesn't get it.
All right, Stephen, thanks for all your insight on this, and hey, welcome back.
Thanks, Wilder.